It's theirs!
What if I told you that you saved the soul of the Aussie Fang?
That was genius. Hook, line, and sinker.
Slit her throat, or I'm going to kill you.
I will slash her throat.
Oh my god.
You are instantly attuned to bracers of oak and birch.
I don't even know. I just kind of run into something.
I was like, yes!
We will either rule this world before the year is out, or we will all be dead!
Teor has fallen.
Previously on Convergence. Once separated, the three heroic groups of Soldier, Seeker, and Schemer have returned to their beloved city of Dol-Makjar in order to finally learn the truth of the Aussie Fang's dying goals, to restore the afterlives and guide lost souls home. Wickander returned to his grandmother's side to act as a spy, convincing her that his dimmed heart had once more seen the light. Wick witnessed Primus Ticonis' testimony before the Sundered Houses, but his solo encounter with Primus had deadly consequences.
Wick is not prepared to handle the immense pressure that he is being put under right now. He's going into the belly of the beast because he knows that's where he's most useful and has the most potential to get information and sow seeds of doubt or sabotage or whatever he's going to do. But these are powerful people he's surrounded by, and they're scary and dangerous. I sort of had it on faith that the dice would be there for me. But when they weren't, it got real bad real fast. And now Wick is a cold-blooded murderer. He has killed an innocent person for no reason. And I really haven't had a chance to deal with that trauma. I think it's gonna rock his world, and I think he's never gonna be the same.
Kattigan found himself caught in the crosshairs of the Candescent Creed, but his kidnapping led to him finally solving a mystery that had haunted him for years. Primus Ticonis was responsible for the deaths of his wife and daughter.
Imagine suppressing all of your feelings to the point where you don't even know if what you're experiencing is real or not, and then get scooped up in a very cartoonish, like Tom and Jerry-like situation, and then wake up to your worst nightmare come true, and something that was presented to you that you've hunted for forever, for half a decade or more. What a brutal awakening. I found out who my family's murderer is. I've got a name. I think they're dead. I don't know. There was blood and missing bodies. It's unbelievable. There's so much going on. Everybody's got a string to pull. Couldn't be more exciting.
Tyranny proved her worth as an aspirant to Yanessa and rescued Kattigan from the clutches of the Mercanod Tailors, where she discovered more about how she is perceived and the influence her demonic father wields.
Something that is really exciting to Tyranny is the fact that, like, she's a little bit of a celebrity. She came away from that interaction being like, they know my dad, they know who I am. Like, there's a lot of exciting questions. How does she fit in with the rest of the demons in the world? Brennan, in an interaction, gave a really beautiful speech about choosing who to inflict pain on. And that in and of itself, as an autonomous person, can be really complicated because a lot of the time people don't have the best moral compass when it comes with their own sense of justice and who to inflict damage across. You have to have the darkness so you can have the light, and I'm really interested in how that can be of service to the group she's in.
Bolaire was shocked when his lost sister Termina returned to life wearing the body of Lady Aabria Cormorant. But her attack against him now has the normally composed curator panicking and ready to flee.
The reappearance of Termina, specifically of the siblings, Termina was the one that he wasn't looking for because they actually watched Termina die. So her reappearance, especially as a cracked mask, is scary because she's very powerful. She is probably the most powerful of the siblings. Bolaire is leaving the city for the first time since establishing himself at the museum. And he's leaving because his cover has been blown, his job is gone, his life is in shambles, and his best friend is freaking out at him and doesn't trust him, and his sister is trying to murder him. So, yeah, he has nothing left in the city at the moment. Everything he has ever cared about is gone.
Though he struggled beneath the weight of his lies, Azune made himself an invaluable asset to House Einfasen and earned a promotion to captain. He witnessed a miracle outside the Hallowed Round, a dragon rousing from its ancient slumber.
I don't have words for the tension in my body that happens every time I'm facing off with Einfasen. That meeting where I was presenting the case against Taconis, I did not know how that was going to work out. I think I know now how Azune operates with him. Like, I know his rule set. The truth matters. You got to lead him down a certain path that is not a lie. The fine line of having to play by the rules, but then also be around people that are not, and also understanding that sometimes you're gonna have to bend and break the rules and hide that. Man, that tightrope is so hard and exciting and scary. I felt like I was going to court. I had a suspicion of that entity that was speaking to Azune, and sometimes I'm just a basic fantasy nerd and I just want a dragon to talk to me in a deep voice that rumbles.
Hallandil's play, Kotherai, was more than just a hit among the people of the city. It was an anchor to build bridges to the afterlife. Unfortunately, the Candescent Creed made their displeasure with Hal's rebellious art known when they tried to arrest him.
Hal has just put on a play that he has had in the works for years. He has opened the Hallowed Round. It's his life's work, culminating now during our story. Now that Hal has put on Kotherai and poked the eye of the wealthy and elite in the city, he is definitely on edge, waiting for another shoe to drop. You know, we had a moment in that final game where they came looking for Hal in the middle of the crowd, and I was all geared up, ready to talk my way out of it or head off to a prison cell, and his family, the love of his life, is too good at intimidating people that didn't come to that. But I think the reason Hal didn't, change his appearance or disappear into the crowd is because he needs to follow the example that he put in the play of Volkjan Murzat standing up to corruption and power, and he knew that he was surrounded by people in that moment. So if it came to it, I think Hal was ready to just march along for visual for the people in the city.
Thaisha embraced the realization of Thiazi's plan, guiding the souls of the soldiers who died for Orcish freedom to their long-awaited afterlives. In a moment of spiritual inspiration, Thaisha created a brand new celestial from the transmuted paint of the Hallowed Round.
Hallandil is the reason Thaisha is a druid in a lot of very important ways. His art changes you. His art via this play was enough to open bridges and to take part of the path that she's dedicated her life to. Was just such an amazing moment, both as a player and a character, to experience and breathe. And what a fun opportunity it is as a player to go hey, Brennan, I have kind of a weird idea. What if we try to do something a little extra in the middle of this magical ritual? And the fact that it ended up with this brand new Kadra Celestial that was made out of paint and color and just so beautiful and wonderful. It was like a secret third thing that you didn't know was possible, and feel like you've actually created something in the fantasy world that you're sharing with your friends. What a beautiful way to say that art changes the world. When Thaisha first received the letter, it's kind of full of that fear and trembling of oh, actually, I don't care about Primus Taconis. I don't care about Yanessa Halavar. I'm scared of my grandma. It really feels funny that our sort of three tables where we have the new seekers that are heading north, our schemers that are staying in the season, and I'm the little one soldier, and my fight is with Gangi.
Valus made a difficult decision, choosing to sacrifice the Stone of Night Song in order to stabilize the afterlife ritual, sacrificing a chance to save her own family's afterlives, and turning against her goddess Salandri in the process.
I didn't know that I was going to be presented with that option, having to decide between family or not family, and helping all of these other souls get to their destination. I tried to negotiate with Brennan to try to find some other option of some way to do both. And that sort of ended up turning into Valus smashing the Stone of Nightsong. She's definitely turning herself away a bit from Salandri and has for a while. And I think that was sort of the final straw in that journey for her. I'm very curious to see where it pans out from there.
Murray secured an important alliance with King Gus of Timony, confirming his support of the rebellion. She aided Azune in his testimony to the Einfasens and ensured her student Demidus could safely flee Dol-Makjar to Timony.
Before we all knew that we were going to do this big group meeting in-game, we had all kind of elected a few speakers, people who were going to be the representatives of each table to share all of the information and the knowledge, and I was nominated. The schemers in general had a pretty heavy burden. The weight of all of the lore that we had discovered and needed to kind of connect all of these disparate dots from all of the different tables very much felt like a responsibility that was hoisted upon the schemers, literally and figuratively. I did my part. Murray did her time. Let me get drunk with the deer.
Octus reunited with Thimble and reanimated the deceased Dame Saramai, but later beheld the horror of his father's cruelty firsthand when, in the process of rescuing Mara the Wing from his family, he saw Primus murder the druid Hannon.
He finally figured out how to bring a full conscious being, or at least a full humanoid creature back from the dead, which is a big deal for him, and a big deal that will probably cause problems in his relationship with Thaisha in the future, but it was the first step in something he'd been trying to do for a long time, and still regaining that ground of being like, oh, I can do this thing my family does, but it is my way of doing it. And especially the connection with Dame Saramai in that actually bringing the consciousness back, as opposed to just reanimating the body. Having a lot of complicated feelings, and then at the very end of it, to have my father show back up and just murder Hannon, who seemed so powerful in my interactions with him in the Druid Grove, to then have my father just delete him without really thinking about it. That's your sister, and you just Darth Vader'd her and yelled at her. It was bringing Octus back to a point where he was a child who could do nothing, and was so scary for him.
Teor was successful in bringing his brother Sid back from petrification, and the two fought bravely back-to-back in the crypts of Dol-Makjar, until both brothers were tragically struck down by a horrifying undead monster that was once General Divinos.
Going after the 3 statues would have been great, but also there were so many other choices, and I kind of panicked, but it wouldn't have mattered, because I rolled like shit anyway. And then I got stuck in the room of death with the undead thing that was wearing its own skin on the outside like an overcoat with my brother. And I thought, well, shit. If you have to go down, it might as well be with your brother and somebody that's wearing themselves like a trench coat. To be the first player of Campaign 4 to unlock the honor of dying first, I'll tell you, it feels shitty. Honestly, I love how lethal the campaign is, and I love that by the time Teor was done, it also felt like a good 4 to 5 other people might meet the same sticky end. There's all sorts of what ifs, but I think that's kind of the beauty of the game, is that you're stuck with the decisions that you make.
Thimble refused to leave Teor behind, choosing to return to the darkness of Obramis Manor, where she slayed the undead Divinos. She took up the Fey bracers of the Royce family, magically growing in size and recovering the bodies of Sid and Teor.
These bracers, 19 strength, that's stronger than Jester was. What? This seems broken, but I'll take it.
Seeing Thimble right afterwards be like, I have to go back in for Teor, I was like, no, you silly pixie, don't go back in after me, you don't even have a candle. And I thought it was gonna lead to a slippery slope. But Laura's a better player than I am.
So in that moment that Brennan presented it like, oh, you have this new thing, how are you gonna do it? I think it worked really well that was the moment she realized, I need to be able to do something for Teor and Sid. It makes sense that she got to be big for that. But it's funny because like, there's the Teor of it, where it's like so sad, but then at the same time, we find out that Thiazi, his soul is attached to Julian.
And the joy of finding out that he's not lost, that I still have some sort of connection to him, almost made everything else disappear in her brain. It was just, you're right here, you're right here, you're right here.
Julian continued his vengeance against House Taconis by slaying Primus' son Coral and rescuing his sister's soul relic. To his shock, Julian discovered that he was harboring the soul of an enemy in his own shadow, that of Thiazi Fang himself.
Julian is not happy about that. He's wrestling with the concept of like, why does he always win? Like, it's unfair, it's bullshit. He feels duped and manipulated, which is what Thiazi's really good at, is he's learning more and more. He's very much in like a Schrodinger's orchard scenario where in his mind it exists in two states, either hopeful and rebuildable or fading and unstoppably done. And he doesn't want confirmation until he gets there.
The realization that Julian's raggedy little off-book shadow was actually like some version of Thiazi's soul was the best possible payoff for both me as a player that wanted to know what was happening with Thiazi and as someone who likes seeing Julian suffer. It was a perfect moment.
The team finding out that the spirit of Thiazi is maybe alive and maybe exists in the shadow of Julian. What a crazy setup and payoff that Brennan has been sitting on for 30 episodes. So cool, so original. And I don't know what that means for Julian, and I don't know what that means for all of us moving forward. We lost a Teor, but we gained a Thiazi shadow.
What a dirty trick. Ooh, Brennan, what a dirty trick, you tricky boy.
And maybe Travis can come back as Thiazi's shadow.
Now, half our heroes journey to the Golden Orchard on a fairy road, while the other half stand their ground in Dol-Makjar. But will the planted seeds of rebellion take root, or be blighted from the city's heart?